Hello and welcome to Horsepower. I'm Willie and join me and Scott today as we show you the progress on our MK4 Supra. It's been a while, but for those who forgot or are new here, we are putting together a JZA80 Supra as a race car. This one with a rather special 5S GTE Beams 4-cylinder engine. We start off today removing all the bits and bobs to get the chassis ready for paint. Alright, we got the Supra to a stage now where it's a completely bare body. There's been a lot of tidying up, a lot of sanding, a lot of cleaning which has gone into getting the shell to the stage, but now we're here. It's getting to an exciting part where we're going to paint it. So the original plan was just to paint the interior and the engine bay, and then we were going to wrap the outside. And I thought, well, while we're doing all of that, we may as well just paint the whole lot. Now, I am certainly no car painter, so I don't expect it to end up perfect. I'm not too stressed about the engine bay and the interior because it sort of doesn't really get seen that much. In terms of the outside, basically, if it turns out good, then sweet. If it doesn't, then it's going to get wrapped, and at least underneath the wrap, it's black. It's going to be the same colour, so it's going to be a nicer, tidier thing. Plus all of the little kind of places you never really get to see unless the car's fully apart like it is now. So we're going to give the whole thing a spray and get rid of this not so cool silver. So we've still got to remove some windows and things, but basically it's all ready to go. But what we're going to do now is we're going to paint the roll cage a different colour. So the car is going to be gloss black, but the roll cage is going to be gold. And so what we're going to do is basically paint the roll cage and then mask up the roll cage once that's painted, and then go hard on the black and just paint everything. And then we're going to clear coat everything as well to give it a nice shine to it. But now, so I've cleaned down the roll cage, what we're going to do now is paint it. Got a boy from work experience here.
Gotta get that cheap labour on the jobs, eh?
He even bought pretty dirty overalls, so it looks like he knows what he's doing.
You're not supposed to tell people that. They're supposed to think that I've been like doing it for years.
This sweet bell housing from HGT is adjustable. This means if set up properly, the crank will be perfectly concentric with the tranny input shaft. We put a dial gauge on the flywheel and spin the engine over while recording the measurements. It's quite simple to do, and we adjust the position until it's perfectly concentric. Alright, here is our Samsona sequential with our bell housing installed. We've also machined up a little adapter here, so this spaces out the release bearing to the correct position. Hopefully the correct position, we'll find out shortly soon. And as I've shown before, we've clocked this all up, so this is all nice and concentric. And now what we're going to do is mate it up, hopefully for the final time, to the engine, and then we can put it in the car. Alright, gearbox slipped onto the engine, nice and easy, so that's good. Everything seems to be in order. We've got a starter motor bolted up here as well, so happy days. Alright, the engine is in there, it fits beautifully, just as it did before, which is good. Everything's looking really nice. The next job is to put in some maybe not so nice looking stuff. We would like to put some PDMs in this car, and we will do it at some point, but for now it's just going to get all the factory body loom, factory fuse box and all of that. So let's put it in. I decided no one wants to watch us install factory wiring looms, so instead here's a nice shiny billet intake plenum. We have our intake manifold ready to go on. We've sealed up the throttle body to the adapter plate and the adapter plate to the manifold. We've checked all of these bolts, make sure they're tight, and installed our fuel pressure regulator, and obviously put the vacuum hose there. It still needs the fittings, but we'll do that later. Now it's time to install. Shiny billet intake plenum is installed. Next I install a couple of flange adapters to suit our custom single piece drive shaft. Back to the engine bay, a freshly ceramic coated spaghetti manifold bolts into place, followed by the Borg-Warner SXE 200 turbo. I now suspect this turbo may be a little small, but it will do for now. It's time to install the brake master cylinder, and this is the brake booster. It's looking pretty ugly and it's not going to stay. I don't really like to use them for a race car, so what we've done is made this little bracket. It's just a simple piece of 12mm aluminium with a couple of studs in there to basically take the place of that. Obviously we're not going to have any vacuum assistance with this, so what we're going to do is re-drill the brake pedal to provide more mechanical leverage. It's also going to get bigger calipers and keeping the same size master, which will provide more hydraulic leverage. It may need fine tuning after that. We may need to change the master size, but what we'll do to start with, and what's worked for me pretty well before, is just re-drilling the pedal and go from there. It might need a couple of different holes. We'll see how we go. And this is going to be the new push rod. Obviously it's going to sit further back in the engine bay, so I've got to make a new shortened push rod, so that will take the place of that one. Moving on to the cooling system, we have quite a sizable radiator, possibly overkill, but we want this thing to stay cool. Unfortunately, I forgot to put on mounts for the fan before it was coated. Never mind, better late than never. Along with the intercooler, it sits on a big angle to allow both more surface area and promote better airflow through it. Proper ducting is also important, but that will come later. Right, so it's time to do an exciting part of the assemble, and us being Agile Performance, we specialise in suspension arms and steering geometry. So we've gone to our top shelf MK4 Supra arm, so this is an extended version, 50mm extended, live adjustment, obviously a matching top arm to go with it, and our steering angle adapter. We'll be using the factory knuckle for now anyway, and of course our MCA shocks. They all went in beautifully, as one would expect. Everything's just in here loosely, but now the next job is to basically go through and tighten everything up. Then obviously we need to put on some brakes at some point too and do the other side. Right, we're at a very important stage of the build, and it is wiring. It scares off a lot of people, but not Arthur, he loves it.
So this engine's got quite a bit in it, or the setup's got quite a bit in it that a lot of sort of basic street stuff wouldn't have. The sequential's a pretty good example of that. With the sequential you have a strain gauge sensor on the shifter so that you can do flat shifting and rev matching and all that kind of stuff with the computer, and also a gear position sensor so that when Willie's thrashing around the track he doesn't get lost of which gear he's actually in. The other thing that is a bit different with this one is that we're using some bulkhead connectors, which make, when the, hopefully, touch wood, doesn't have to come out again, it's just a case of undoing these two big plugs and the whole wiring will come out with the engine. At the moment we're sort of planning on placing these down in the back corner here. We'll make adjustments to this factory body harness so there's enough room, but that way, yeah, if it does need to come out for servicing, it's just sort of two big plugs, and you can pull the rest off once it's out of the car and there's a bit more room. Because it does get a wee bit busy under the intake manifold, which is good for aesthetics, but if you're trying to reach under there to undo connectors and earths and all of that jazz, you can get grazed knuckles pretty easily. So the next sort of portion that would work for me to do is sort of cut the excess length off for the connectors here. I've run all of the additional power wires individually at this point, and then they'll all get crimped together. Like all the 5-volt feeds for the sensors will get crimped into one feed wire, so that only takes up one pin in these connectors, because you can get out of hand pretty quick with the amount of terminals, and you get yourself into some strife with that. And then once the length's all sorted and everything's run to those connectors, I'll get to the point of measuring the thickness of the loom, so I can get the appropriate sized DR25 sheathing to go over it. There's different philosophies about how you want to sheathe the loom, but in my opinion, for sort of engine bay situations, high temperature and it'll be, I'm sure you go out in the rain at some point, probably get wet and everything like that. This is the sort of best solution that I've found to keep the wires protected and in good health, so that as long as possible everything can be plug and play and not have any issues.
Now on to the oil cooler. So this is going to go in this spot here. We've got a convenient hole in the bumper there, and then the oil lines will then go around to the motor up through there somewhere, which is on the correct side. What we've done is made this little ducting which will also act as a mount. The oil cooler just slides in there. It will then get attached with bolts through there, and now we've got to mount it into the hole. We've got this little piece here which will start off as our mount. It'll get bolted up there, And we're just going to make some support brackets to make it all work together. That concludes today's episode. This project is now on the home stretch. After 3 years of hard work, Scott and I are getting very excited to finally drive this thing. Stay tuned for that. Cheers for watching.